could fit more perfectly than to have a world party on the day you came to be. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
93.5 CHMR-FM. We're tuned in here on a fantastic day, joined here with a fantastic guest who happens to have a birthday. But you're tuned in on a Friday, December the 5th. Varsity Life, 93.5 CHMR-FM. Good morning, Ryan. Join us always with my co-host, Ryan.
Yes, sir. Good morning. And today we have another special guest in studio, third-year wrestler Ian Janes. And it's your birthday today.
It is,
not? December 5th. How old are you?
I'm 20.
20 years old. Just a young pup still. And you're third year wrestler, right?
Third year, yep, and I'm still the youngest person on the team.
Oh, really? Any first or second years on the team?
Yeah, but they're still older than me.
Still older than me.
What are the chances, man? What are the odds? I don't even get it. This is it, Ian. We don't have a lot of content. We are very thankful that you can come on the show because it gives us an excuse to just, blabber for an hour. And obviously our listeners, they want to hear exactly who you are, what you do, and what it's like being a varsity athlete, especially in the wrestling category, as you are our first wrestler, male or female, on the show.
Well, guys, I'm just happy to be here. I'm really appreciative of you guys having me on the show here today.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to go into a quick radio break. Don't touch that dial, guys. When we come back, we're going to be getting our Get to Know Your Seahawks segment with Ian Janes, third-year wrestler of the Memorial Seahawks. 93.5 CHMR-FM. This is Varsity Life, and we'll be back in a moment. 93.5 CHMR-FM. Theo Snoy behind the mic with my trusty host, side co-host, whatever, Ryan Wood.
Yo. And Ian, you just text your mom?
Yeah, I did.
She going to listen in, hopefully?
I hope so.
We're actually on the radio. This is actually a radio show. A lot of people think it's a podcast. I've had a couple of people come up to me and say, yo, I'm keeping up with the podcast, and there's a bit of a difference.
Folks, I mean, come on. You're tuned in on 93.5 on the radio, FM. CHMR.ca online, maybe even channel 825 on Alliant.
Oh wow!
Or
is that a radio?
Cable channel 942? Who knows?
So you can on TV.
On TV, on your clicker.
Just blank screen, and we're talking.
Yeah.
TV.
But it has to be from 10 to 11 on Mondays and Fridays because that's exactly when our show is.
Of course.
Subliminal advertising, Ian. We picked up a couple skills. We are becoming the jack of all trades here on the show.
Oh, for sure. You guys are doing everything to make yourself popular. I like it. I like it a lot.
Facebook page.
Yeah, we
about it.
We were slacking on our Mackin this past weekend. This past week, we didn't post anything, but we stepped our game up, and we will have some stuff here after the show because the topic of interest today is our good friend Ian Janes. Ian, how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm great. I mean, I'm here on my birthday, here with two great guys, and you're having me on your show. It's honestly, it's an honor.
What do you have planned for your birthday, Ian?
In all honesty, nothing exciting.
Studying?
Really. Yeah, I plan on studying.
Any gifts so far?
Pardon me?
Any gifts so far?
Yeah, actually, my sister, she knitted me this little ornament. She's only 11 years old.
Oh,
and
wow.
On it, it's just like this. It's a black cloth with like a strap that can hang from like a hook or something. And it says "Ultimate Brother" on it.
Nice. So maybe a Christmas ornament for the tree or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, what more do you want? You say she's 11 years old?
Yeah, she's 11. She's a real sweet kid.
Did they do that in school, potentially?
What, knitting?
No. Did she do that at home, or was that a school project?
Oh, no, she did it at home. She knits all the time. She loves it.
Something she learned from your mom, maybe?
No, from my nan, actually.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Classic.
She's got an old heart.
Hey, that's all right. She's got a long road ahead of her. But let's get to you, my friend. You sore? You guys still training?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, we've stopped for exams. I am, however, still training. I'm doing a bit of cross training on the side, a bit of swimming, still lifting weights, a lot of cardio on the track. So, other than that, we're not wrestling again till after exams are finished. And whether we're allowed to practice here right now, I think there's CIS regulations on that.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, the team will definitely be training over Christmas.
I don't know if I should ask this question right now or leave it for after the break. It's a wrestling question in general.
Well, no, just say one. Usually we like to keep, no wrestling questions,
We'll
but I
go
mean,
with basics.
here, just go with it.
No,
It's good flow.
we'll wait till after the break. It's a great question, so we'll save the best for last.
Don't forget it.
I'll type it.
It's a great
Just-
question. I'm looking forward to it now.
Just type it down.
It's really not that good.
We talked with Kirsten Sorensen last episode, last Friday, in fact, and she said that her team, maybe it was still because it was last week, and maybe they've stopped now for exams as well, but twice a week that they were practicing last week, they were still doing 2-a-days.
Oh, okay. Last week, yeah, we were still training last week. Our last practice was Wednesday of this week when the classes ended as well.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, here it is. You're a Mount Pro guy, Ian, local. We've had on a couple people who are, Ontario natives. Kirsten was an Alberta native. And you're, St. John's guy, but not St. John's, right? Mount Pro.
Yeah, Mount Pro, but similar.
Similar. Where'd you go to high school? Because there's a couple high schools in Mount Pro.
Yeah, I went to Mount Pro Senior High.
MPSH, the Huskies, right?
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Graduated when?
2012.
2012. Okay.
Sweet. And when did you start playing wrestling, my man?
I started in grade 11. There was no real teams in the city up until around that point. 2 coaches actually moved here, one from Crescent Collegiate and another from Carbonear Collegiate. And the 2 of them, they came in, they both taught at my school, and they just started up a wrestling team. And I just loved it from the day I started.
So this is something you started in high school?
That's right.
Not before. I was wondering that because I know at Gonzaga, I don't think we had a wrestling team.
Beats me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we had one.
As far as I know, there wasn't one because they were never at provincials or anything.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Well, here's the crazy thing. This is a question that we asked to all of our athletes, and Ryan and I have talked about it for ourselves. We're basketball guys. Been playing the game for a long time. We both started plus or minus a year around 10. Kirsten, about 10, maybe 12 years old, she started playing volleyball. Megan, about 10, 11. And you're saying that you started wrestling in high school.
Yeah, about
With
15.
15. A little bit late in the game, would you say? Or no?
It's kind of two-sided, I guess. I mean, I know a lot of top athletes do start when they're young, but wrestling is a really demanding sport, and it takes a lot to do, especially from a weight cutting perspective, where there's never a point where a wrestler is sitting at their competition weight. It's always a water cut and diet to get down there, and I'm thinking at a younger age, maybe you wouldn't be able to deal with that so well mentally or physically.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. However, here's my counter argument. If you are a wrestler, maybe you don't do that, but you still, maybe you wrestle, you do judo, you do some other type of, some other type of fighting style to gain and develop experience and as well as technique. Because I can imagine that there's a lot of technique required for wrestling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I see where you're coming from, and I do agree. Maybe you could start a bit younger, but for me the option wasn't really there, so I kind of had to start when it was possible.
Right. And you have to cut down to a certain weight to compete?
Generally, yes. Everybody does it at the university level.
Okay, and how much lighter is that than, say, what you're at right now?
Well, right now, I've done some heavy-duty cuts in the past. I mean, I went from 76 kilos down to 66 for my last high school tournament. Right now, I generally sit around 77, 78 kilos, and I'll cut down to 72.
Okay. And that, you say it was water cutting?
Yeah, usually.
That doesn't mess with your energy at all?
Not usually. Usually we have enough time in between to get it back because we'll weigh in the night before the competition.
Right.
And then we'll have all night to be drinking water, recovering, eating food.
Okay.
We're good to go by the time competition starts.
Okay. Why is that? Why do you have to cut down to a certain weight? And this is coming from someone that doesn't understand fighting whatsoever. I've watched the UFC a couple times, and I know wrestling is, just an aspect of that. But why cut down to a certain weight and be so strict about it the night before, and then you can just gain it all back before the fight?
Well, that's the point behind it, right? Because if you're heavier than the other guy, it's a lot harder for him to do his moves against you. In wrestling, there's a lot of throws. And if you're heavier than your opponent, he's not going to be able to throw you nearly as well. It gives you more time to react. And it's just another aspect of if you're bigger than your opponent at a smaller weight class, it just it's almost like a mental thing. Like if you look bigger than your opponent, that's going to screw with his head mentally, right?
Okay.
Interesting. But regardless of that, it seems as if, to me, someone who has no wrestling experience, not even, I got jumped one time, and that was pretty much the only
That's
fighting.
the extent of your fighting knowledge.
I didn't even throw a punch, so like I have no experience. So when I say this, please take it with a grain of salt. But to me, it seems like you cut for that one weigh-in, and then it's like the race is on. Who can tack on back all of their pounds, or like right to get to a stage where maybe you potentially could intimidate your opponent based off your looks or how much you could do in one night. Is that anywhere along the lines, or am I just completely off base?
No, that's sort of it, yeah. Usually it has to do with just the fact of wrestling in a lower weight class. Like, looking bigger is always nice, and usually the guys at a lower weight class, like, it should be easier for you to throw them around as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying is correct, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you compete at the 66 kilo class?
No, that was in high school, my last high school tournament. Right now I compete at 72 kilos.
72 kilo, okay. For those of us who don't understand the metric system and are living in Canada but still in the imperial system, how much is that in pounds?
It's about 158, 159.
Okay, fair. Have you ever competed at any other weight class? Like, have you, for instance, tacked on, like, one summer you just did work in the gym, next thing you know you're like 5 kilos more? Have you competed at higher ones, higher weight classes, or have you just been stuck at 72 and that's where you're comfortable?
Well, in high school, generally, I wrestled at around 74 kilos. Like, the weight classes differ from university to high school. Like, there's not a big difference. It's all around generally the same area for the weight classes. But so at high school, I'd wrestle at 74, and right now in university, I wrestle at 72. I wrestled 72 all last year and the year before. But I have gone through quite a few weight classes. I've gone anywhere from 66 to 69 kilos, 72, 74, 76, 85.
Whoa, 85.
Yeah, okay. There's a story behind that.
Well, I mean, we have time. Can we hear it?
Yes, absolutely. This was in my first year of studying at university here, and my coach from high school was having a tournament, and he decided there was 3 people in my weight class at 74 at the time, or 76, and there was 2 people in the weight class at 85, so he just decided to combine the weight classes and have everybody wrestle at 85. It was all good. You got that worried look on your face there, but I won, so it was all good.
Okay, you won?
I won, yeah.
Okay. Were you competing at like a much lower weight? It's just the maximum was 85, or were you actually at 85?
Oh, no, I was still like 74, 76, somewhere in that range.
Okay. So you just at a maximum.
I thought you tacked on like an extra 20 pounds.
Oh, no.
That was my worried look.
Oh, okay, I got you. No, I've never been anywhere above 79.
Okay. I mean, yeah, fair enough. To me, it seems dangerous to fluctuate your weight so much. But this is, again, me, a non-wrestler, just, a little prissy boy on the basketball court. Right?
Jump from time to time.
Yeah, maybe bounce a ball with your hand somehow.
I will agree with you. It is pretty dangerous, but generally, once you've been in a fighting type sport for so long, it just kind of becomes second nature. You know how to do it in a safe enough way that it's not going to affect performance or health.
Mm-hmm. I suppose at some point your body adapts to it if you're doing it enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Generally, I don't like to do any dieting or cutting beforehand. I might slack off a few carbs over like a week before. I like to cut from 76 to 72 the day of weigh-ins. I'll just put on a sweatsuit, put a hoodie on, put some track pants on, go for a run on the elliptical or sit in the sauna, and within an hour, I'm 4 kilos lighter.
Wow.
And that's just water weight?
Oh, yeah, all water.
What if you're dehydrated and you do that?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing it dehydrated, Theo.
Your body just stops functioning.
Then it becomes unhealthy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. How, if you wanted to gain weight for a match, you go, you fight your match, but afterwards, what happens? Do you stay, or do you end up slowly fluctuating back down to your normal weight?
Generally, I do kind of sit around the same weight. I have tried to gain, like over the past summer, I worked out twice a day, and I was putting on size. I was up around 80 kilos, and honestly, I couldn't go above that point. Like, I was eating 3,500 calories a day, and it just couldn't happen. And my weight slowly started to come back down once the season started, and once I got more back into really wrestling-specific training, like training 5 times a week for wrestling. And now I'm sitting at about 78 kilos, so...
You're back up there almost.
Yeah, well, it's actually gone down because it went from 80 back to 78. And
yeah.
I was gonna try and compete at 76 kilos this year, but, like, just I won't be big enough.
Well, Ryan and I know this well, and we've had many a conversation just talking about even guys like LeBron. You know, how in the world, over the course of an 82-game season in the NBA, does this guy stay at his weight of 250 or whatever? You know, you look at a guy like Amir Johnson. I mean, I don't know if you remember this conversation, but he would talk about it, and he'd say, like, there's no way. I come into the season, by the time the season's over, I'm like 10, 15 pounds lighter.
Drops weight, yeah.
Just because of the amount of running and the energy being spent. I mean, you said 3,500 calories. That's about what you need to burn to lose 1 pound, right?
That's right.
You know, a little bit of physiology memories coming back for me. There is some sort of credibility when I speak on the microphone here, but I'm just trying to say, like, even for us at the varsity level, where we play a 20-game season, not including preseason and Christmas, I find I lose weight, and I'm quite a skinny guy. Like, there's not a lot of substance to me, but even I feel when I see on the scale, like, I'm lighter. So I can't imagine for you guys. Just fluctuating. To me, I get scared when I see, like, when I can grab a little bit of stuff on my stomach.
Oh, don't go there. If I can grab something on my stomach, I'm not eating for that day.
Oh, God.
That's a joke. I'm not serious.
Well, I mean, to me, it's all information. We had a little script that we wanted to roll with, but I'm just so, you know, unaware about all this stuff. So I appreciate all of this information. But let's talk something else. When you were younger, you said you started wrestling in high school. Before that, did you do any other type of sports? Because I can't imagine you can just hop into wrestling, right, and be good at it. Or can you?
Good at it? No. I'll describe how one of my teammates in high school, we went to Atlantics, okay? For a very last tournament of grade 11, and we're sitting in the hotel room the night before, just kind of chatting it up and having a laugh. And one of my teammates says to me, he goes, "Ian, I thought you were going to be one of those, like, awful guys who came in, like, you were awful in the beginning, you were like a noodle and couldn't do anything, and I thought you were going to last a week and be one of those guys who quit." And I'm just here like, "Well, thanks, man." He goes, "Oh, no, I'm not done. I mean, now you're awesome, and we're here at Atlantics, and you're going to kill it, so good on you."
Way to go.
Yeah, well,
nice
in
work.
the beginning was not good.
Not good. Well, okay, before wrestling, did you do anything else? Were you a hockey guy? Did you do any other type of sport, soccer, basketball, volleyball, anything?
No, not really. Few, like, pick-up games with my friends here and there. Like, I'd play everything, soccer, basketball, hockey. I used to love playing hockey in net. But in organized sports, no, I was not really involved in much.
So wrestling was kind of like the first commitment.
Oh, yeah,
in terms of sport.
And now it's really become like my entire life. Like, this is what I live for, is what I strive for.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the meaning behind the name of our show, Varsity Life. It becomes who you are, at least for, you know, if you play 5 years, for those 5 years. And especially for you, where it's on the mat and off the mat in terms of, you know, you have to pay attention to everything you eat, your weight, all these kinds of things. So it's, I guess, it's a 24-hour thing for you, and going to be for 5 years, I suppose.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I'm hoping that my wrestling career lasts a little bit longer than 5 years, because there's always extra tournaments outside of the AUS and CIS realm.
We'll definitely get into that after the halftime break.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It seems to me wrestling is one of these sports that are a person can peak at a much older age. Maybe not. Here's my basis of what I say it. I look at a thing like gymnastics. Okay, this is one of these sports where you need to be started when you're like 4, right? You need to start, you need to develop that flexibility, you need to your body needs to be aware of what's happening, and by the time, you know, you put in 10 years, you're like 13, 14 years old, and you're at Olympics killing it, right? You look at all those little Chinese girls just doing crazy things.
The Americans are pretty good too.
And then I see wrestling. Well, no, let's not even talk about wrestling. Let's talk about us. You know, we could say that the peak of our basketball career could be, you know, high school and then into varsity career. But after that, I mean, unless you're going to play professionally, most players don't continue to play. Whereas you're saying that you start at 15, for you to put in 10 years, you're 25. You're graduated university, you're doing this outside of school, and now it's developed into your lifestyle. Like, you're not just doing this in university, like, you are a wrestler. Everything you do about you is done in a wrestling fashion with a wrestling mindset. Is there any credibility to what I'm saying to you? Like, does that relate to you?
That's, yeah, absolutely 100% true. With wrestling, I mean, it kind of, most people who wrestle and are serious about it tend to stay with it for quite a long time. Like, I know coaches from other universities who are like 60 years old. Like, there's one who actually walks around like he had to have a hip replacement. He wrestled for so long, walks around with a cane now, and it's just, it really becomes part of your lifestyle. It's something that you're basically going to do forever.
Yeah, I really do admire wrestling, and you're just like, the way you put your body on the line, but it's not in the sense like you're hurting. Like, you really respect your body and you respect like your opponent's body, and I don't know, there's just like a whole different psychological aspect of it that I'm not aware to, but I don't know, there's some sort of allure, and I enjoy the concept of it.
Well, Theo, I'm going to extend an offer to you here. If you'd like to come out and train with us, I totally encourage that. I invite you to. The team will accept you there. No problem.
I appreciate the open invitation. I will sleep on that. Yeah, I'm not going to commit to anything because we are currently, you know, on the radio where the whole world can hear us if they really want to. Hopefully the whole world is listening to us. Also, hopefully you guys are enjoying this interview we've been having with Ian. We kind of went on a couple little tangents, but it makes for great conversation. We're currently at 10:30, you know, half past the hour. We're going to go into a quick radio break. Stay tuned. Please don't touch that dial. We have a lot of things to get through yet with Ian. I feel like 1 hour isn't going to be enough with this guy. 93.5 CHMR-FM. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back in a moment. .5 CHMR-FM, 33 minutes past the hour on a partly cloudy day right now. Kind of cold out there, folks. Friday, December the 5th. I already said that, but it doesn't matter. Just wanted you guys to get the message.
Just a reminder.
We're back here live with Ian James of the Memorial Men's Wrestling Team, as well my co-host Ryan Wood. Fantastic host, fantastic everything. And
Question first. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know if this is controversial or not. I don't think it is. Maybe I don't know. But you say Memorial's wrestling team. Is it still under Memorial Seahawks?
It is. Yep.
It is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I heard different along the way, but
no, we're still Memorial University.
Still under the Seahawks. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just wonder.
Sounds good to me. So back to our fantastic interview here. Our guest on the show today, Ian James. Ian, another quick question for you, and we're gonna hop right into it. So you said you started wrestling 15 years old. You didn't really do that much wrestling beforehand. I want to know extracurriculars. You do anything other than wrestling right now, other than school? You involved in the community in any which way? I'm talking like volunteering or anything like that. Do you do anything?
Do you have your own radio show by any chance?
Because we will hype you.
Yeah, actually, I do a bit of volunteering outside as well. I volunteer with the Janeway and the Health Science Center. I'm also the coordinator of a volunteer program. It's called the Physical Literacy Experience Program on Saturday mornings, where we set up these areas for kids to come in and run around and play and just kind of learn a bit more about movement. It's from kids anywhere from walking age to kindergarten. It's a really good program. A lot of people enjoy it, and the kids always have fun. And honestly, even if it was volunteer, I'd still be doing it just because I love playing with kids and love seeing kids smile.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there's not a whole lot that I've been doing now. In the upcoming winter semester, I'm going to be volunteering with the NeuroFit program again. A little bit about NeuroFit, it's a free organization where we have people with brain injuries come in, and basically HKR students generally will get them back into movement after having like a stroke, or if they have Parkinson's or something like that, and get them kind of excited about exercise and able to do it again, just developing the extra ability.
Anywhere someone can go if they were interested in getting more information? Is there a website?
There is a Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Yeah, and you can just join that and...
Say it again just one more time.
NeuroFit?
NeuroFit.
Yeah.
Okay, just so everyone gets that clear. NeuroFit, check them out on Facebook, and you say it's a Saturday morning thing.
No, that was physical literacy experience. People are welcome to come volunteer with that as well.
Let's talk about physical literacy experience. Where can someone go if they wanted to get more information on that?
Well, they could talk to me. I mean, like, I am the coordinator of it, and
okay.
But yeah, I'd be the best person to talk to, or Anne-Marie Sullivan, one of the profs in the HKR faculty.
All right. Just a little quick tidbit, right? If you talk about something like that you guys are involved with, potentially any of other varsity athletes can get involved with. I'd love for this to be a medium in which they figure that out and they're able to gather that information and then go and actually do something with it.
Oh, totally understandable.
Ryan, you had a question that you wanted to ask Ian. Let's I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, I hyped this up way too much. Way too much. It's really a basic question.
No big deal.
I know in terms of basketball, I mean, that's what we always refer to. A big thing in kind of our training is stuff that you do on your own time. Like going to an open gym and just getting your own shots up. You bring a ball, there's a basket anywhere, pretty much any gym in the city, and you can shoot shots by yourself or get one of your boys to come with you and rebound. Is that possible for wrestling?
I understand where you're coming from, and it is, but it isn't. Like, it's harder to do because you can't go into just any gym around town. Like, it has to be one that has a wrestling team.
Right.
Sometimes, like what me and some of my teammates will do, and you need a second person to go and practice your technique or to spar or anything. We can book the gym in the phys ed building, and we'll just go in, set up the mats for an hour, work on some technique, roll around a bit. But in terms of doing it in any gym in the city, it's not typically possible. Like, there's like 2 or 3 different places that it can work. But
right. So is that something that you and your teammates do often, or is it kind of stick to practice and that's where you get your work in?
It depends. Sometimes we do it more than other times. We do a lot of training outside of practice as well. Like, I know myself, I'm doing 10 hours of wrestling a week plus another 5 to 10 hours outside of wrestling.
Cross training, weightlifting, stuff like that?
Yeah.
What about any other fighting? I don't know if that would be allowed, or have you tried any other types of fighting?
I had one friend who was really good at Muay Thai, and he taught me a few things one time. And there was one point I considered transitioning into MMA, but honestly, wrestling is my life. That's where I'm sticking to. I'm not interested in doing anything else outside of that.
Interesting. I'm wondering, who are your captains of your wrestling team?
Actually, I was named captain of the men's team this year.
You're captain.
Hey,
That's
congrats.
Right. Thanks, boys.
Continuing on the captain trend, Ryan.
Yeah, we got to switch up the Facebook.
We just
Facebook headline.
It's just literally captain of this team, captain of that team.
No big deal. And,
we like it.
Fanway Price is captain of the female team.
Okay. As leaders, and you especially, you said that you're the youngest person on the team.
That's right.
How do you manage to go about doing captain duties and being a role model for your teammates as pretty much the youngest person in the gym?
Well, I've been saying this ever since I left high school, and obviously being a December baby, I've always been younger out of the majority of my friends. Age is just a number. It doesn't mean anything other than you were born on this day and this year, and that's great. If you're mature enough to be able to handle all the responsibility and to go about it with a good head on your shoulders and just stay on top of everything, I don't think age should matter at all.
Well said. Very well said. I'd like to retort. If you are born in the beginning months of the year, this is proven scientifically, and they have done research on this, you have a higher chance of making it to the Olympics, say, because you're a person who's born before, say, you, someone who's the same age as you could potentially have 10 months of growth on you. That means an extra 10 months in the gym. That also means as you're growing up, they're the person to get selected and go and make these extra teams where they could develop even more so because they're exposed to a new coach, a new mentality, better competition. And then eventually you see a separation between people who are born earlier in the year versus those that are born in the latter months of that year. And that's you look at many examples, and that's true and true. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that is true, and I have heard that before. It's not always the case. Like, sometimes you do have end-of-the-year athletes who will beat the older athletes. And, I mean, when you go to the Olympics or any big competitions, I mean, everybody's not from the same age group. I mean, you're going to have, like, say, somebody who's 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Like, there's no set age of where it is. So it's there's really a discrepancy there. And I like to think that no matter what, whether it's genetics or whether it's talent, hard work is going to be the deciding factor. If you put in the hard work, you can beat just about anybody, because hard work beats talent.
Well said.
Good mindset.
Good
mindset.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Any coach's dream to hear those words.
Yeah, your coach must love you. That's good, but I mean, honestly, that fuels your fire. That fuels your internal fire. That gives you, the quote unquote chip on your shoulder, because you know that developing that type of mindset can give you an edge. And you're absolutely right. I want to say, on average, that's the situation on average. But there's always anomalies, and there's always people who just hard work, just get in the gym and just grind it out harder. They're going to get further ahead. You're absolutely right. I do have another question. Talking about role models. You are a you're not fifth year, you're a captain of your team. How do you try and be a role model? What do you do personally that helps, inspire people on your team?
Well, we got a few newer guys on the team now, and I've been doing this is my 5th year of wrestling. So I kind of try to help them out where I can, and I don't cut anybody any slack. If you're not doing it right now while we're doing technique, I'm not going to let you do it. Until you do that right, I'm going to force you to work harder and harder. And I'm going to I try to teach the guys the value of hard work. And I know a lot of my teammates, they will train outside of practice, and sometimes we'll have a few team workouts throughout the week. I really try to maintain the whole eat well, sleep well, get lots of rest, just general the overall sport athlete's needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's exactly that's a great way of going about it.
So last week we had Kirsten Sorensen. Kirsten Sorensen. She's the captain of the volleyball women's team. And she said her coach gave the co-captains, I believe there was 3, a book on leadership, and it had some different techniques to use, and one of them was kind of flipping the script. Usually rookies would have rookie duties. They'd in the case of basketball, they'd have the
water bottles,
and on team trips they'd carry the luggage, stuff like that. But they flipped the script, and they felt that was kind of a privilege that only the older, more experienced captains, for that matter, a privilege that they would have, and they took on those responsibilities, completely flipping the script. I've never heard of it. I think it's super cool. Do you guys have any techniques? And I know you've only been a captain now for a couple of months, seeing as how it's your first year being a captain, but have you put any thought to any techniques similar to that, just in terms of leadership?
Not really. I mean, we all kind of come in and do our own thing.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you're a lead by example type guy.
I try to be. A lot of the guys, I got to be honest, there's nobody on the team who doesn't do their part. The only real things that we need to do is kind of coming in, setting up the mats, and everybody kind of pitches in and gets it done as fast as possible so we can start practice. The thing I really like about my team is that it's a really family atmosphere. Everybody treats everybody with respect. We all get along, and just basically we can have a joke around without anybody getting upset.
Mm-hmm. But yet you still do work and you still develop, right? You have that atmosphere, but you're still growing as an athlete and as a team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when it's time to wrestle, when it's time to practice, it's wrestling time. There's nothing else.
That's something that I've always felt too. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place to joke around, and then there's a time and place practice when you got to get down to business and take stuff serious. That's definitely something that I believe in terms of sports as well.
And I agree with you 100%, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
How does the wrestling competition work? Because it's an individual sport, but yet it's a team aspect. Analogy is swimming. They compete as individuals for their own individual time so they can compete in, say, an A or a B final. But based on their placing, they gather points. And collectively, they build up their points, and then as a team, that's where they finish. Similar in cross country. How does wrestling work?
It's sort of similar to that, like in regards to a team winning. The teams will build up their points, but there's only a maximum number of wrestlers that you can use to contribute to the points. Like, say, if you send like 20 wrestlers to a competition, only 10 of them can be used to accumulate the final score. And depending on where the wrestler finishes, like if you finish first, that's like 10 points versus second's like 7, then third is 5th, and so on and so forth. But individually, the way it would work is everybody in the weight class would start on the left side of the bracket, and you'd be matched up with the guy under you. You'd have your match, and in wrestling, you can lose your first match and still finish with the bronze. But if you lose 2 matches, you're finished for the day.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody would start on the left side of the bracket. They go through their first matches, and as they win, they continue on until there's 2 guys competing for the championship.
How long does a wrestling match last?
The rules have changed recently. It used to be 3 2-minute rounds, and the person who won 2 rounds out of 3 was the winner. Or if you pin someone, that's the end of the match right there. Like, you've already won. Like, when a pin is when a person 2 shoulders touch the mat, shoulder blades, and it's not like a 1, 2, 3 count like you see on TV. It's like 1 second. Like, as soon as they touch, it's over. But the rules have changed now so that there is 2 3-minute rounds, and it's cumulative. So, say you score 5 points in the first round, and your opponent scores 2. The score at the beginning of the second round is going to be 5-2, and if nobody goes up by 10 points, it's like a mercy rule at 10 points. Once you're up by 10, that ends the match. Or if you pin the guy. So if the match goes for the entire 6 minutes and nobody gets pinned and there's no 10-point lead, then it's whoever has more points.
Okay. Different types of... would you get points, say, if you use a good technique? Would you get points if you almost bring someone down so 2 shoulder blades touch? Like, how is it just those specific situations where you get points?
No. There's different ways to score.
Yeah, that was my
Okay,
yeah. Sorry.
The main way you want to score is if you take someone down from their feet to their back. That's 4 points. And obviously, as soon as the person goes down, they're going to try and get to their stomach because they don't want to be pinned. If you take someone down from their feet to their stomach, that's 2 points. And once you have the person on the ground, if you can make their shoulders break 90, like if you roll with them, you roll them over, that's 2 points. And if you push them out of bounds, it's another point. So there's several ways to score.
And if once someone gets up 10 points, then the match is called.
That's right.
That one way that the match can end.
Or the pin.
I honestly am clueless when it comes to wrestling. That's the first time I've heard the scoring system. It actually makes a little bit of sense.
It's a bit difficult to follow at first, and like they've added in a couple new rules now. Like there's a rule for passivity. If one wrestler is being too passive, rather than just have like a score go to 0-0, they will call the passive wrestler saying, "Okay, you have 30 seconds to score. If you don't score, your opponent's going to get a point." So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have a go-to move? Because in basketball, like I love pull-up dribbles, pull-up jump shots. Ryan, what's your go-to move in ball?
Dunk all over somebody's face, man.
So what's your go-to move? What's your swagger?
Should I really say that on the radio, man? That's giving my opponent like an edge, you know? I mean.
Okay, vaguely. In what category is your...
that's more along the lines. I'm a big fan of leg attacks.
Leg attacks. Okay.
Yeah, like shooting the legs, especially from the outside.
Okay.
Considered a takedown?
Oh, yeah. Like,
under that category?
If you get the leg and you can take it, then it's really easy to take someone down.
I can imagine.
Pick them up, toss them, whatever.
What do you mean by pin?
Pin?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, your weight would have to be on the person, and both their shoulder blades would need to touch the mat, and that's pin.
Okay. Is there any like arm bars or anything like that?
No,
In
no
wrestling?
tap outs, no submissions in wrestling at all.
Okay.
And if you go against the joint, the ref will call you to stop and start you again from the center of the mat.
So you can't win on a one move type thing.
No.
Okay.
Well, unless you take him down and pin him right away. That's the only real possibility.
Pin 'em, okay.
Just manhandle them. Just.
Oh, it happens
Yeah.
more than you think. Like when you have like a really good wrestler facing somebody who's a rookie or really new to it. Oh yeah, it just comes out. Boom. That's it.
Game over. Quick question before Theo gets into his.
We only have 4 minutes left.
I know this will be quick. How's the team doing so far this year?
Our training is going really well. We haven't had any competitions yet, but we have 2 coming up in January. We're going to the Brock Open January 10th and the Western Open January 31st, followed by AUS and CIS in February.
Cool. We'll be sure to cover it here on Varsity Life.
Are there any local competitions that anyone can go and watch?
We're hoping to get something happening this year. There's not a lot of high school teams right now, so we're kind of trying to spark a bit more interest in the high school system as well. But as of right now, there's nothing scheduled, but I will keep you guys updated.
Please do, because I'm interested in. I'd love to go see some wrestling. Last wrestling match I saw was at Canada Games in 2009.
Okay.
Live.
And did you follow it?
Hell no, I had no idea what was happening.
We didn't know the scoring system until literally 2 minutes ago. So.
Pretty much. There's so much I'd like to talk about. We have 3 minutes left on the show here, Ian. We're gonna segue into the end, and I'd like to do this. I read a Forbes article. I read a lot of articles. I try and stay on top of a lot of things. And there was this article, and it's headlined, "Why Wrestlers Make the Best Employees." Now, you're wondering, you're looking at me like, okay, what's happening here? I just want to say this, and I'm sure you agree with it, but I'd like to hear your sort of voice on that. Current research indicates that individuals who have competed at elite level athletics generally, and collegiate, university falls under that category, as well as international, professional, possess higher levels of emotional intelligence than their non-athlete counterparts. Okay, wrestling in particular is thought to require more individual commitment than most other sports due to the nature of the training and the competition itself. We talked about the weight class requirements, all of that. One constant observation is that wrestlers have a capacity to push themselves harder than most and display an unrivaled mental toughness and also a deep desire to eat. So I know we don't have a lot of time. I'd love to talk about this. Just they in the article, one of the quotes that really spoke to me was, "I swear it upon Zeus, an outstanding runner cannot be equal of the average wrestler." Just the level of commitment that you guys have to do, the toughness, the adversity, I think it's unparalleled. Talk about that and how that leads into your life and potentially work experience as well as school. You got 2 minutes.
Okay. I've actually read this article before. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I 100% agree with everything that is said there. Wrestling has also been called the hardest sport in the world because it does take so much more, like the mental toughness, especially when it comes to weight cutting. And honestly, if you're new to a sport, like especially like wrestling, like if you're coming in, you're getting thrown around, like that's awful. Like that sucks. It really sucks to get thrown around, and there's always going to be someone better than you. Where it's an individual sport, there's nobody else that can help you when you're out on the mat. So if you've been at this for 4 or 5 years and you're coming up against some guy who is like Olympic champion, and he's destroying you after you put in all this hard work, it just gives you that drive, that desire to do better. You just like, that's a new rival for you. That's another goal to attain. Honestly, yeah, like the commitment that we put in from wrestling, just the overall factors in the matches, and like from time to time, like it just, there's so much more commitment needed in order to be the best, right?
Wow. Very well said, Ian. I would love to continue talking with you about this, but unfortunately we're out of time.
Well, guys, I just want to say thanks for having me on the show today. It was an honor.
Thanks for coming in, man. It was a great. I think we gotta have you on again because this guy wants to go to med school. He wants to be a doctor. He has Olympic aspirations, and we haven't even scratched the surface on that. So
we didn't even comment on the fact that, like, you compete, you're impaired, you're not. You know what I mean? Is that, like, it's cool to say that. I know you're okay with it.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, a deaf athlete, right?
Yeah.
To
honestly,
an extent.
It's kind of better in a sense because when I'm out on the mat, it's just me and my thoughts. Like, I don't have anybody else yelling at me. Like, I can hear the coach every now and again, but it's just me and what I'm going to do. I'm ready to do this. I've come out to win. This is my game plan. Nothing's going to distract me.
Total dialing in. He is all in, folks. Ian, we want to thank you. Hopefully we can have you on again in the new year. It's an open invitation whenever we have our schedules coincide. Let's have you on.
All right? I would love to. Thanks again for having me, guys.
Perfect.
Ryan, any last words?
No, sir. That was a great show.
All right.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday, 93.5 CHMR-FM. You can catch us on CHMR.ca, Alliant Channel 825, Cable 942. We're on Facebook, Varsity Life. Hit us up, and we're out. Happy weekend.
This is 93.5 CHMR-FM.